Give me 1 second here. I'm dealing with the gummy cola bottle. It's a tad chewy. Give me 1 second here. All right, that's a little better. Anyway, messing around with a couple different venues here. Obviously, uh, hopefully das ist gut. Ja, ja, das ist gut. Und sehr gut function. And nine scheiße function. Hopefully you guys hear me on the YouTube side. You guys hear me on the Facebook side. Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. Hopefully it's working. Hopefully. Favor reporting. Yes, Abrams is in the room, so I got some guys over on the YouTube side. Facebook's a little quiet at the moment, but that's cool because I always put it up and people can see it at their leisure. So, no great craziness there. They can see it whenever they wish to, and of course, they can enjoy it as it falls suit. No, they're not shooting up the place. They're not. However, if you do actually happen to have a can of Twisted Tea, you are ready for, you're ready, and don't call the black guy the N-word, or, yeah, oh, that one. Yeah, exactly, sound guy. That guy bit off maybe just a little bit more than he was ready to chew, and the black dude just basically said, I cannot begin to tell you how much that movie or that video just cracked me up. And dude is just like, you dirty little stanky, blah blah blah, bang, boom. Oh man, he made a floor sandwich out of him, and yeah, he definitely was relaxing because he got Godzilla stomped, and wasted. Wasted. Oh man. Oh no. Hopefully, do you guys have sound? Do you guys hear me? Yes. Is it working? Hopefully it's working. I mean, on the Facebook side, obviously I got noise. Hopefully, okay, we're now working on the YouTube side. I am shooting an archival video using my second dropped broken screen version of the Note 9 that I have a newer version of that is not broken. But I'm archiving the video on that one using the selfie cam. Hopefully it doesn't look too absolutely terrible. So if this YouTube video is completely jacked up, that I'm shooting on my my laptop, because literally the way it works. Okay, if you guys don't know my system and how it works, is directly in front of me, I have my computer monitor. I have a camera on my left, your right, which is going to be for the Facebook side. Then I, coincidentally have a second camera that's shooting off on the YouTube side. The home computer is feeding direct with a local area network with actually plugged into my my router. The laptop is running Wi-Fi 5G. Hopefully it's working and not sketched up like it can be. Okay, I'm good now. Oh man, this is really stupid because the same microphone that I've been running for freaking ever read like my Blue Snowball, not alongside anything but another one very big difference. Is there's something in the business called latency. Latency is when you actually are hearing what you sound like. Now, you ever notice like those guys doing they're doing stuff in the studio, and I actually have a set of them just so I can show you. They actually are running like headphones, so they're in there, they got the microphone in there, blah, 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 doing their little spiel, but they have headphones that they're listening to so they can hear themselves without outside distraction. Now, coincidentally, I have been known to do that. And usually what I'll do is I'll run one earbud and I'll run it into the Blue Yeti, because the Yeti actually has a microphone jack that it's plugged into to run it into the computer, but also it has a 1/8 phono jack that you then can plug either headphones or an earbud or some other means of listening to yourself for something called monitor. Now, back in the good old days when you used to run stage equipment and you were basically the guys rocking and rolling on stage, you would have a rank of speakers in front of you. Now, being the fact that I actually do work with several bands and I work with a sound guy and I actually do, the band stuff, I'm basically what's known as a band tech, or I'm a equipment tech. I really don't get hardcore into the sound equipment, but the basic setup, setting up the equipment, making sure the band members have their stuff set up, I know enough to get myself in trouble. So essentially the way it works is their monitors, or what they need to hear for what they sound like for what they're projecting out to the band, to the audience, is a rack of speakers in front of them that's throwing sound back at them so they can monitor their performance. So in the process of monitoring their performance, they're getting latency. They play the guitar. Okay, that's what my guitar sounds like. Wait a minute, it sounds like it's a little out of key. And the guy can basically, be on the fly, adjust, know what it's sounding like, or tweak tune and play with stuff on his equipment board, because you always have those kick boards. So literally the guy's playing a song. It's like, yeah, I think it's a little out of tune. In between songs, you'll see them kick one of the pedals and take themselves out of the circuit and then kick another pedal, and it's put into tuner mode. So then they're like, adjusting their guitar until their guitar's in tune, and then they kick it again, and they're back in system. Now, this is things that you can't hear normally because the sound setup is such, and the sound guys are good enough that they're catching up all the clicks, pops, and what have you, that you don't hear this stuff. But in the good old days, you would literally have the guy tuning his guitar on stage. You would hear him tuning his guitar. There would be all the monitor speakers for these guys listening to what they sound like on the stage. Well, modern iteration is, if you look at it, they have a belt monitor. It's a little thing roughly about the size of like about a pack of cigarettes. It's got a couple knobs on it, and it has a little whip antenna, and it obviously runs a cord up the back of their shirt, inside their shirt, and goes to a couple of form-fitted earbuds that give them also sound suppression. So the guy playing the drums behind him and really rocking on the cymbals and whatnot isn't blowing their eardrums out. So it actually is a good thing for the musicians for two very good reasons. One, they positively know what they sound like. And two, they're getting sound suppression so their ears aren't getting bashed by all the ambient noise. Most of the guys you talk to who have been gigging forever, they talk like this because their eardrums are gone. But yeah, that's usually what they'll do is they'll have the ear monitor systems. And if you look at anybody that's actually performing, sometimes you'll see them performing and you'll see them reach to the small of their back and they're adjusting their monitor level because it's either too high, too low, or they can't hear themselves. And, during like times where it gets really, really high music levels, they get drowned out and they need to adjust accordingly. So that's also one of those things too, is they also can go back to one of the master control units and it controls all the monitors, and that's all Bluetooth stuff. I mean, you go on the and he's running his stuff from usually most of the time, like the sound guy I work with, he's running the board after he does the initial setup on the board. He goes back and he's running the entire show, sitting in the back of the room off an iPad. Oh, that doesn't sound right. Click a screen, click another screen, and adjusting everything on an iPad for all the performance that's going on stage. Now, in terms of what the performers are doing, sometimes, they'll wave me over because, obviously I'm the assistant tech. They'll wave me over. Hey, man, can you tell them to kick this monitor up? Can you adjust this up, adjust that down? This is a little flat, blah, 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 blah. So then I'll go back to the sound guy and, basically relay what the band members are saying. Like, hey, man, can you kick them up a little bit more on the hi-hat? Can you kick that down a little bit on this drum, a little bit more on this guitar, a little bit less on that guitar? This vocal needs to be a little higher. That mic's a little low. This mic's a little high. All these other things coming into play. And also it's put on the fact that the sound guy's been doing it for freaking ever, and he knows the way a band should sound, especially if he gigs with them a bunch of times. He knows the way that band should sound. Conversely, if you do the working with a band, you can tell they're good and bad nights. The audience will never, ever catch stuff that are screwing up. Like, somebody glitches something in between, like parts of a song, and the audience doesn't catch it, but you're kind of like looking at them like, dude, really, what did you do there? And they're kind of like, oh, sorry. just one of those nights. And it is live performance. So anytime these guys do a show, there's always going to be the human element. No two shows are ever the same. That's like, you can go back to classic performances where you had like Led Zeppelin, and there'd be two nights on the same stage they were performing on. And one night they were spot on, absolutely well rested, kicking ass, major names. The thing just sounded great. Next day they're coming out, they're all hungover, they're tired, and they're trying to make it work, and it kind of sounds not nearly as good. So that's something you always got to take into account too, is also the human element in any type of stage performance. And setting stuff up, I am, obviously you have the drummer. Off to one side, you have the keyboardist or the guitarist or the bass player. And on the other side, you'll have another guitarist or a keyboard or a bass player or some such. And then front and center, you will have the lead vocalist. And obviously, you'll have people sometimes switching off. Like one of the bands I gig with has a female lead, and she plays keyboards on some songs. And the male lead vocalist plays keys on some songs. And they'll switch back and forth. Like, obviously, he's not going to do Madonna. He's not going to do, like, girl songs. Obviously, he's just going to do harmony or chorus in the background. And that's the way that works. So sometimes they'll switch off and they'll do back and forth. Now, if you look at the way the stage is set up, in the front of the stage is going to be either they're going to be running ear monitors or they're going to be running actual live speaker monitors. The live speaker monitors are going to be in front of their equipment, and the very first thing that you see in front of their equipment is going to be the line of speaker monitors. Now, behind that is the line of wires. They call that a run. The run of wires that runs from one side of the stage to the other is running that equipment, running those lights, running the speakers, running everything else that's accordingly going to one side of the stage to the other, and either meeting in the middle or it's going off to the side and back or to the very back, the soundboard. If it's a Bluetooth-enabled soundboard, usually they'll bury it behind the performers or they'll put it off to the side, depending on the size of the stage. Now, on the runs, and I'm infamous for this, you could ask anybody. First thing I'm doing is I'm pulling up the roll of duct tape and every piece of wire that it could possibly trip somebody up or become a hazard, I stick it down. And that's called gaffing. When you gaff a run down, you're making it so you're making it safe for the performers to go to and from the stage, interact with the crowd, and of course not trip and fall over everything. And there's been some places that I've worked at, and I've almost run through an entire roll of tape gaffing the place up because literally the wires are just like run everywhere. Now, the thing about it is most times they're working a stage. The stage is other instances, the stage floor is usually black and the tape is black. Everything blends in, and you normally don't see it. That's the other, user illusion type of thing is you don't want to see equipment unless it's absolutely necessary to be part of the act. Just a little bit behind the scenes stuff. I thought I'd throw you guys that one there. Logan Ray, hope I had a good Christmas. In-ears is not about suppression. Actually, it is. If you talk to anybody that's basically standing beside a crash or beside a China cymbal, they want to have noise suppression. Trust me. And most of those units will knock down about 16 to 32 dB, depending on the suppression level. So, yeah, they actually do want to knock down the noise level to a degree because you're always going to have ambient noise. Case in point, I am one of these people that likes to double use things. So normally what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my shooting earplugs, read like your military spec shooting earplugs, which are about 28 dB. And they're pretty decent. I mean, if it gets really, really loud, I'll duck behind a speaker or something, or I'll go off sides. And I won't stand in front of the actual sound source. Now, conversely, one of the things that you do need to do is absolutely you need to make sure everything sounds good. So at one point in time when things are setting up, they're doing a sound check and what have you, you really do need to actually, unfortunately, walk in front of the speaker, pop out an earplug and go, okay, how's this sound? And usually one of the tricks of the trade I'll do is I'll pop out an earplug and I'll turn a full 360 and go to different places in the room to see what they sound like. And I'll bounce it off the sound guy. This sounds a little flat in that quarter. It's a little harsh over here. And he's got an ear for it too. The guy's been doing it forever. So he's got an ear for what does the room sound like? Is it going to be one of these things where you have like fake ceiling, concrete floors, concrete walls, all these really harsh acoustic type of things where it's going to be really not easy to work with. Wood floors, wood walls, stuff like that. It is really just ridiculous reverb where the sound is like crashing in on itself and you're in the middle and it sounds kind of almost tinny. That's literally what it is the sound is bouncing off itself and you're in the middle receiving all this just overreach of too much sound energy. So that's all stuff that come into play and they have to adjust for. Let's see. Let me look over here. It's not in the sound engineer from the UK. Well, that's fine, dude. I've been gigging for like a while. That's good. Thanks. I know because I'm on the stage and on the floor. I know what it sounds like both ways. Hope I had a good Christmas. Logan Ray, I hope you guys had a good Christmas as well. And everybody, I hope had impending decent New Year going into the next. Let's see. Sound guy have a Beanie Weenie shirt yet? No, Patriot Fever. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a Beanie Weenie shirt. What shirt is he wearing today? It's not Beanie Weenie, but it might be Pee Wee Herman. I don't know. He's got really strange taste in clothes. Sometimes you really just can't trust a guy. You just kind of take him out the door and yeah, that's just what you get. You dress him up and or maybe he comes out without clothing. No, that's when you say, "Oh, you dirty little." Well, what can you say? Anyway, let me see what's going on in the room here as well. Need to check my helmet cam. Oh, hey, from quoting lines from Aliens. Yeah. Basically, he's like banging it on the wall. Okay. Well, anyway, let's see. Scroll. Let me open up another window here so I can go through my stock of stuff, as it were. Looking at things as it is for this whole pissing match downtown DC kind of. The biggest problem is, of course, is the mere fact that you get so much just bad information. I mean, the news media is so in the tank for their guy, or they're so in the tank for something else, or they really just give half-ass information. And it's really kind of a sad fact of life that pretty much inside the Beltway is just really like a self-suckling entity, shall we say? And I'm going to keep it as that. I'm going to try to keep it as clean as possible. It is a self-suckling entity. Let's see. Scroll. Let's see. I mean, obviously, of course, the whole Christmas thing kind of interrupted things a little bit. I've been throwing so many memes out there; it's ridiculous. Oh, Facebook is having fun doing the fact-checking thing on some of my stuff. It's really annoying too. It's like, well, we're going to throw our own 2 cents in there to make sure that everybody knows the full thing. No, they don't know the full thing because it's full of crap. I can tell you what else is full of crap is that budget they just supposedly stuck in there with the stimulus. Now it's like either $600 or $2,000 per individual or some such. Never mind the fact that the economy is so depressed right now that the tax revenue that the government is taking in is not nearly enough, and they're still spending like drunken sailors. Anyway, I mean, I'm not going to get into the length, depth, and breadth of what the budget actually contains, man. But let's just say it is redonkulous. And I bounced it off of Mrs. Dude, and she's like, "Well, here's the thing. The biggest problem is yes, they actually have broken out all this information that now people are seeing what is in the budget. All the contributions to countries that really don't do anything for us, and no country contributes to us. We always throw money at them. So much money at other countries was not hidden, but it was so placed in depth of some monstrous piece of pile of okay, the guys well, let's just say the guys in Washington D.C. made it so that you couldn't look at it and just read it in 5 seconds, know what it was. And immediately we're looking at them and going, "You juggling thunder." So did Biden trip over Drew's dog take? Oh man, you know it's really annoying too because mostly it's a case of you look at the picture of Biden wearing the boot. You know, obviously he's wearing the foot boot, whatever it is. He's wearing the foot boot, and you're like, okay, you're injured. It's switched legs. I don't know how many times it's on his left leg, then it's on his right leg, then it's on his left leg again, then it's on his right leg. It's like, which way are you jacked up, man? Are you really that just conjittered that you can't get it through your head as to what part of your head is, needing to know left from right and stick it on the correct foot? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because the problem is when you bust something up, you busted up. It's not like you're going to go, oh, the right foot feels good, the left foot feels bad. I'm going to put it on the right foot instead of the left foot. That's not how it works. Speaking of sound, my audio is horrible. Oh. All right, well, I'll tell you what we're going to do here. I'm actually shooting this as well on another venue. I'm actually shooting it with another venue. Like I said, I'm using the old Note 9. So I might just repost this video, and it might be a little weird with angle because I'll be a little bit off axis here. But I'm also shooting it using that venue as well. So if it's really, really completely jacked up, I might actually just redo it completely and just say, here's the better version of it. You guys can watch it at your leisure. The sound is good. No, yeah, it's also because I punched the microphone. Ugh. You know what? This microphone might discover
death by snoo snoo.
Oh no, it is not getting snoo snoo. It's getting. That's what it's getting. It's getting. Well.
Come on, squeal.
But I pooped from there.
Dang, sound guy, what'd you do? Give the redneck about a 6-pack before you set him loose? Holy crap. All right, anyway, his head is jacked up. They put the boot to his head. Oh, man. I really don't even want to contribute to anything concerning Dim Bulb and the rest of his conjittering, but why would you insist that guy's the solution to anybody's problems? He's been in Washington, D.C. 47 years. He's run for president 3 times. He represents Delaware. Okay, now if you guys know anything about Delaware is pretty much like a nicer West Virginia with a lot of vacationers. That's really all that Delaware has to offer, man. You go there, you go to Rehoboth, you go to Lewis, and it's actually a funny spelling. It's Lewes, and they pronounce it Lewis instead of Lewes. Those people call it Lewes. They know are not guys from Delaware. But Lewes actually goes up to New Jersey. There's actually a ferry that goes there. And it's really kind of more of a really much cheaper place to retire. I mean, the place is really not hugely populated. Their tax load is like New Hampshire almost. It's so low for taxes because they make so much money off the vacationers coming in that they really don't need to sock it to the permanent residents. And like 6 months out of the year, it turns into Florida vacation land level of just too many people spending scads of cash. Now, I really don't know if it's been like that so much during COVID time and, this year in particular, but I can tell you for a fact, trying to get from west to east to get to Delaware sometimes is really just not fun. So much so that you really can pretty much go, the other one is you basically go north. Let's see. What would that be? The other way is you go north, you go up 301, I think it is, or 4. One of those roadways, I forget which roadway it is. It's either 301 or Route 4. And then you get on Interstate 95 and then you come south. So you can either go one way around or the other. I can tell you for a fact, if you are trying to get across the Bay Bridge during time of heavy, let's just say vacation travel,
Things suck.
Rally